Hi, Dr. Alina Kolchitsky, Boutique Bodyworks, physical therapy, lifestyle medicine, nutrition, fitness, and more. I'm going to show you how to make quinoa from scratch. So I've already measured out 1 cup of dried quinoa into my saucepan, so like a deep pan or a small pot. I'm going to add in 2 cups of water. So it's a 1-to-2 ratio, so that's 16 ounces of water. We'll just measure it out from my fridge where I have nice clean filtered water from reverse osmosis. Now quinoa comes in a variety of colors. This is white, and think about mixing it up. And so choose different varieties at different times. We're going to turn on the heat to high to bring it to a boil, and then we'll let it come down after. And let's just stir it a little bit to make sure that it's all mixed in. And then we'll cover it. So let's keep talking about the benefits while we get that going. So as I said, quinoa comes in a variety of colors, and the different colors will give you different plant compounds, the flavonoids and polyphenols, and it's good to have a variety, not to mention the different colors of fiber, as I mentioned in every video, feed the different good gut bacteria. So you want to have a variety of colorful fiber from the plant world as well. So white is just as healthy as red or other colors. It's the variety that is important. So don't skip white because it does feed certain gut bacteria as well and give you certain polyphenols and flavonoids. So anyways, I digress. We've used here a cup of dried quinoa, so there's nothing in here but quinoa. What is quinoa? Well, it's a grain. It's a grain that's ancient from South America, and it's high in protein. It's superior to brown rice in terms of protein and other nutrients. So it's got more magnesium, zinc, manganese, potassium than just your regular brown rice. Brown rice is good for you too, but don't neglect other grains such as quinoa that can give you just as much, if not more, health benefits. It's also higher in protein. So 1 cup of cooked quinoa gives you 8 grams of protein. And it is a complete protein, actually. It has all 20 amino acids. So the other thing, of course, like all grains, it's high in fiber. And what type of fiber? Well, we're talking about soluble fiber. So this is the kind that binds to cholesterol. So this will help to lower cholesterol, therefore good for preventing heart disease and perhaps reversing. Also to, if you attend to all the other things in your diet, and also to lower blood pressure and prevent diabetes. So that soluble fiber helps to lower your blood sugar. Quinoa is low on the glycemic index. What does that mean? It means that when you digest it and it releases all things that you eat, release glucose into the bloodstream, they get broken down from their bigger molecules into the smallest molecule of glucose. Glucose gets into the bloodstream from there. That is the natural process of digestion. Some things do that more quickly and some less. So if it quickly gets into the bloodstream, we call that a high glycemic index. If it goes slowly into the bloodstream, we call that a low glycemic index. So for quinoa, like all whole grains, legumes, and fibrous plants that are minimally processed, that happens slowly. And so the more complex the carbohydrate in terms of grains and legumes, the slower that is. And so that's a good thing. It means that the blood sugar is being more regulated. You're not getting such a big spike. It's, of course, going to elevate because you're eating food, but it's not going to spike so high and not going to stay up there so long. So it comes into the bloodstream much lower and slower, reducing your insulin response so that you prevent those spikes and therefore the crashes after. So you have better blood sugar regulation and insulin regulation, which is why it's also helpful for diabetes. So we are going to bring this to a boil. It's almost there. I'll show you. My kitty wants her treats. It's in the afternoon and is close to her time for greenies. So we're seeing the water just start to bubble. So we want to bring it to the boil, and once it's boiling, we'll lower it to low heat to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. Do check it and stir it regularly, because quinoa can be surprising and cook quicker sometimes, especially if you're doing just a small amount at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down. We'll keep it covered. That helps it cook faster. And I'm going down to just below moderate heat. So high heat's all the way up, low heat's like midway, and moderate heat's midway. So about 5, right? So I'm going down to about 4 on my dial. Of course, it's different if you're using gas stove, but this is just for your regular cooktop. And do keep an eye on it, because you don't want this to boil over. That's easily done with grains. So that's why I've got my lid just slightly askew to let that steam all out and pressure so it doesn't boil up and over, creating a big watery mess on my stove. I have to admit, I tend to be impatient and can sometimes walk away while doing other things, and that happens to me often, and I hate it. Every time I kick myself for that. So again, give it a stir once in a while. Now you do not have to watch this pot though if you keep it at the right temperature and leave this a bit askew, but stay in the room, stay close by. So do keep an eye, but you don't have to hover, okay? So while that cooks, let's continue to talk about quinoa. So as I said, it's high in fiber. Fiber helps also in itself to regulate blood sugar. And because it's soluble, as I said, it helps bind with cholesterol in the bloodstream and prevent that from being deposited and creating all those negative effects that we know from high cholesterol diets. Now, there is natural fats in quinoa. All foods have some fats, some carbohydrate usually, and some protein usually, with the exception of oils to some degree. But know that quinoa, being a whole grain, so it's not processed or minimally processed. I suppose it is somewhat processed because it's been picked from the plant and hulled, right? But it's still the grain itself intact. And so it has all that great fiber, and it still contains some natural fats, but all in the unsaturated varieties. So these are the good kinds of fats that, again, are beneficial for our good cholesterol, or HDL, right? So it doesn't increase your LDL or triglycerides, but actually increases your HDL, but there's not a lot of fat. So let's see, according to this package, a quarter cup is 2.5 grams of fat, 0 being saturated and trans. So times that by 4 in 1 cup of dried, which is what I cooked here. We've got we've got 8 grams of fat, and once it's cooked, that's even less per cup that you eat, right? So in terms of protein, it's a good source of protein. It's not enormously high in protein, right? 8 grams in 1 cup of cooked. So you're going to add that to a meal with other things, letting you wash the pot boil. So far we're doing pretty well. Again, I'm stirring it once in a while just for even cooking and to prevent it from boiling over. Let's see, wrong way. Okay, so yes, this is a good source of protein, though it's not super high in protein, but it is a good source, moderate, and so you're going to eat this combined with other things to make a whole meal. So today, I think that I'm going to make a salad with this for dinner. So I'm going to put in a bowl some dark leafy greens, and then I'll add a cup of my quinoa, or maybe just half a cup, and then a cup of cooked beans that I've already done in advance. Right now I have some black beans going for the week, and then the rest I will store in a glass container in the fridge to use for other meals for the next few days. It will keep in your fridge for 3 to 5 days. And what else will I add in there? I think I'll put some tomato and maybe some feta cheese, just a little bit. If you're vegan, obviously you can skip that. I'm not. I'm lacto-ovo pescatarian at times, but mostly lacto. And then you will, I'm going to add some olive tapenade on top. maybe a little green onion or red onion. That's it, right? Sounds delicious. Some olive oil, some avocado. Let's add some healthy fats with avocado. Getting hungry already thinking about this great salad. And then some fresh herbs. From the garden is always better. Parsley will be great. Parsley and mint. Check out my other video. I have a video on how to make your own salad dressing from scratch using just extra virgin olive oil, some fresh mint, and parsley. You can make it a little spicy with some chopped hot pepper or diced. Make it small. A little bit of garlic, and good to go. A splash of citrus. You get the idea. Play with it. But use as little ingredients as you like. But again, the more you do it yourself from real whole foods, from scratch, not only will it taste great, because it's fresh, real food, which has a lot more flavor than processed foods in a natural way, you're going to feel better, have more energy, and not have any of those added chemicals like emulsifiers. You know, emulsifiers today are not just simply like raw lecithin that you may have in the house from sunflower, but they're chemical emulsifiers. They have other stuff in there, and what else? They use all kinds of things in salad dressings to stabilize it, to make it last longer, and then flavorings that aren't real, and colorings, and citric acid that is not citric acid naturally occurring from lemon or lime, but a chemical compound made in a lab, and you get the idea. So it's all adulterated, and these are things that are making us sick with the standard American diet or the SAD diet. So the more you can do things from scratch using real whole foods and yourself at home, so you know exactly what's in it, and using quality oils, which would be in the form of extra virgin olive oil, it's really the best and only oil you should be cooking with if you want to avoid saturated fat and any other kinds of negative effects that can happen from seed oils that are usually produced under high heating to be able to extract that oil, and can either end up being rancid in the process, and then that process, eating those can cause inflammation in your bloodstream. So that's why those seed oils aren't really great for us, because they're not, you know, made in the same way. Olive oil is just cold pressed. So all they're doing is picking the olives, pressing them to remove it, and so there's no heating process that is creating the inflammatory effects that seed oils carry from that high heat process to extract them. So we're getting closer to being done. We do want to let all that water evaporate and cook off. Let me show you. Notice how as it cooks, some of it is kind of going up onto the lid and on the sides of the pot. So again, just try to stir it back in. Minimize waste, but there's still plenty of liquid, although definitely more than half has already cooked off. And you can see it's getting the consistency of like a soft porridge. At this point, I think we'll leave the lid off so that we can evaporate some of this water. So, yeah, for the macronutrients, we've got, as I said, moderate protein, small amount of fat in the unsaturated variety, which is the good fat. And then in carbohydrate, it's high in carbohydrate. All grains are. That's what they provide us with. They're a good source of energy, a healthy source of energy. Not the quick sugars like you find in candy, but or sugar itself, and sweeteners, but in the complex carbohydrate, meaning there's lots of bonds for our body to break down, and that's why it goes into the bloodstream slowly, creating a small spike, not a large spike like simple carbs or sugars. So it's a complex carbohydrate. So in a quarter cup, we've got, actually, you know, I would question the value on that. So when cooked, let's go that way. A cup of cooked quinoa has about 30 grams of carbohydrate. That's not a lot for grains, right? So if you're looking at bread, take a look at your package of bread. One slice of bread that's just your standard, what most Americans eat, it's pretty high in carbs. And so you want to have a look at that. Now, eating a low-carb variety, if it's still white bread, it's still highly processed. So being low-carb doesn't necessarily make something healthy. Yeah, so be careful with that when you're buying things in the grocery store. Just because it's advertised as keto or low-carb does not equal healthy. You want it to be from real food, minimally processed, and more complex carbohydrate like this, which would, compared to a keto bread, be a lot higher in carbs. This is the healthier choice. Yeah, so be careful with your choices and educate yourself, which is what my videos are all about, to help you with that process. We are almost done. So as I said, other nutrients that it's high in is iron, actually. So quinoa has a lot of iron and has some zinc, potassium, manganese, copper. It's actually high in copper too. And what else? Potassium, some phosphorus. Those are the main things. Oh, and riboflavin. So that's one of the B vitamins. And that's why we need grains. It gives us those vitamin B1 and 2s, depending which type of grain, right? And we need those. If we don't get enough of them, there's significant deficiencies that can happen over time. And they have real effects. Cracked skin, particularly around the mouth, brittle hair and nails, neurological symptoms. It affects your nerves because we need those B vitamins for our brain and nervous system and for healthy neurons. So don't skip grains. Just make sure that you eat them wisely from whole grain sources. And you don't pig out on them because they are high in carbohydrates. They're high in energy. So if you're not burning a lot of energy and you're very sedentary, maybe you don't need as many grains. It just depends, right? So you do what's right for your body. So we've cooked off most of the water. Let me show you again. I think that took about 15 minutes, to be honest. So it's nice and light and fluffy. Now if you overstir, you can end up making it more mushy rather than intact granules if you put too much water. So for me, I would say that this looks like I could have used less water if you want to have those nice, complete, intact granules cooked. So this is more like a porridge. And maybe lower heat. So you live and learn, and every time is not perfect. Or, what is perfect? It just depends what you're using it for and what you want. This way would actually be really great for making some kind of cakes. So what do I mean by that? Shred or grate some vegetable, like zucchini or carrot or both, and then some onion and garlic, and put it all together, mash up some beans in there, make a paste, and then fry them in some olive oil in a frying pan. So you can make your own little burger or snack patties. That sounds like a great recipe right there. A little bit of herbs, right? And then you could dip it in some kind of sesame or tahini dressing or peanut butter dressing, or in some kind of yogurt dip that you make from scratch, like a tzatziki. Yes, so many things you could do and be creative with. So I hope that helps to show you how to cook quinoa, a healthy ancient grain, so good for you, helps to prevent and even could reverse part of a healthy diet for chronic disease and lifestyle medicine, and got all kinds of great nutrients that we need for all kinds of functions in your body. Experiment. Once you've made it, store it in a glass container in the fridge, and you can mix and match with your next few meals, whether it be in salads or with vegetables and protein you saute. Sky's the limit. It just depends on what you feel like eating at that moment. Thank you. Check out my other videos, and bye for now.